Hello, I'm Jim Morningstar, your guide through this 9-session Integrative Life Teacher Training series. In this class, we will be examining the explicit and implicit agreements you make with your students and gain clarity on the value of what you have to offer. Your teaching contract. An all-important element of successful teaching in any setting is a clear contract between you as a teacher and your students. A contract is always a two-way street. That means both parties are clear and in agreement about what the exchange is going on between them. As a teacher, I'm offering content to prospective students. My clarity on what I'm offering and my ability to communicate this in a way that is understandable to my audience will pave the way for a more successful experience. It does not guarantee it, but it greatly increases the chances of mutual satisfaction. Now, students may be paying you to teach them about material of interest to them. I must be able to let them know what to expect they will benefit from this material. At what level of familiarity is my presentation directed? To beginners, intermediate, or advanced levels? I must also be clear about what I want in return for my service. Is it a set fee, a donation? Even if it's a practice or introductory session for free, I do have the expectation of polite attention and perhaps constructive feedback. One of the most humbling yet instructive experiences of my teaching career came at the behest of my father's request that I do a presentation for his widowers group at his church. They often had guest speakers, and he wondered if I'd be willing to talk. I agreed and thought it would be good to present on the topic of spiritual psychology, given the religious setting. I was politely received around a table in a small room in the church by 7 or so seniors. I eagerly launched into my presentation on the topic that was dear to my heart, with all the warmth, enthusiasm, clarity, and empowerment I could muster. The longer I went, however, the more I felt something was not clicking. Did not seem to be soliciting much engagement. Finally, after 30 minutes or so, I had the courage to ask for questions, and the only one offered was by an obviously disconcerted group spokesman who wanted to know, when will the sweet rolls be served? What was my lesson here? Well, my contract was with my father to show up and talk. I picked a topic that I erroneously thought would be of interest to the audience. I did not have a contract with them to deliver what was of interest or even understandable to them, and I didn't even bring the sweet rolls, which was a major element of the bargain for them. Now, part of me still secretly believed that everyone had to be interested in spiritual psychology. Perhaps they were just shy in giving feedback at the time. So I asked my father sometime later if there was any feedback from others in his group about the talk. He said the only comment shared with him from one of the participants was the observation that, "Your son certainly likes to talk." Great material, wrong audience. I did not follow my own guidelines of asking members what they wanted at the beginning, or at least presenting them with an outline of what was being talked about ahead of time, so they had the choice about attending before launching into what I thought they, quotes, should want. Lesson learned. Now, there's much more to be said about this topic than will be covered here, but some of which we will go over in the next class about effective teaching. But here are some of the elements that you should be implicitly or explicitly agreed upon with your students or clients. Now, for example, if you were teaching a therapeutic breathwork workshop, what is the product? Breathwork is a self-regulated breathing awareness and modulation skill. Breathwork is for self-healing and exploration. What is the practitioner's responsibility? The practitioner functions as a coach in the process. The practitioner is responsible to obtain the information needed from the student to help the session be safe and rewarding, including the student's past experience and present intention. The practitioner will ethically and responsibly use breathwork in the context of other processes that they might professionally employ. For example, being a psychotherapist or a physical therapist or using therapeutic touch. The practitioner will get the student's consent if physical contact is employed. The student is advised that non-ordinary states of consciousness might arise in the process. And the practitioner will adhere to not only the therapeutic breathwork code of ethics, but also their professional code of ethics, including confidentiality. And the practitioner advises the student of their follow-up ability, as well as homework and relevant resources that might be available to them, how body work can help, reading material, workshops, or coaching counseling might be useful. What is the student or client's responsibility? The breathwork process requires personal responsibility for willing participation and results achieved. The student is honest about their intention for engagement and feedback to the practitioner during the process. And payment for services is agreed to upfront by both parties. Well, these are all contractual elements of teaching therapeutic breathwork. Similar details must be thought through for the content and level of teaching you are doing for each class you do. Use Handout 1, Teaching Contract, to outline what you want for a contractual agreement for the practice class you are teaching. This includes title or topic of your presentation. What is your product? What is the teacher presenter's responsibility? What is the student client's responsibility? So complete items 1 through 4 only and come back to the video. Who is your intended audience? This is an important question in any form of communication, but especially if you are intending to share something you value. Do not put the unrealistic pressure on yourself that you must deliver your product in an attractive and digestible way to everyone who breathes. Having a target audience is not just intelligent, it is the most effective way of being of value in the world. Deciding this may not be as difficult as you imagine, because your life has been leading you in this direction all along. For example, what language do you speak? With whom do you share interests? To whom does it excite you to share with? Just keep it simple and everyone will benefit. Again, take Handout 1 and complete the final Section 5. The target audience for this presentation is. Now, this does not have to be too specific, like people in a certain zip code, but it should not be too generic, like people on the planet. Narrow it down as best you can for now. It might get more refined as you progress. Complete item 5 now and come back to the video. Holding you in my heart as fellow travelers on the road home, I send and receive blessings for our circle and all sentient beings till next class. Blessings in light and love.